Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Scott P. Buggy. You like that name? Scott P.
Nice.
Buggy with another great episode of PestPlus in the news. And today I'm here with entomologist Jeff White from Bedbug Central. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Scott, how are you?
So, for our captive audience, the million people that might just be watching, just to give you some credibility, what's an entomologist in maybe like 60 seconds or less? And why would anybody want to listen to what you
Nobody
got to say
wants
this
to listen to
morning?
what I had to say.
But if they did.
Beyond that, basically what I did is I went to school for entomology. I got my master's degree down at the University of Florida, and then I did a few years of advanced studies up at Rutgers, and basically I've been working with bedbugs for the last 4 years approximately.
Okay, fantastic. And actually, I went to a bedbug kind of convention, conference the other day, and Jeff was one of the keynote speakers. And so I'm eager and happy to have Jeff here today, because today we're going to talk about the insanity of homeowners and apartment renters, and just what we see out in the field. So I wanna like, here's what I want to bring you to. So you're in the field all the time.
Sure.
You have a lot of experience. He's not just sitting behind a desk doing research. He's out there. You're seeing apartments. You're seeing. Okay, the first thing is, so I'm a homeowner. I have bed bugs. I go, oh my God, I got bed bugs. What do? And so I go on the internet. And now I go, see, do it yourself, do it yourself, do it yourself, do it yourself. And I pick up something called DE. And now tell me what you see when you go out there and you see people doing self-applications.
Well, the first thing we always talk about is whenever you're doing, self-applications or trying to do self-applications, bedbugs are really something you want to leave to the experts. Bedbug control can be very complicated, and sometimes treating it on your own can actually make the problem worse. On top of that, a lot of people take DE and they misapply it, where they're just dumping it on the floor. And it's not a misapplication by label, but that's not really how you want to target bedbugs. You really want to treat cracks and crevices. And so people are using DE in a manner that really isn't going to be very effective for bedbug control. And we see it very commonly where people just dump it right on the floor. And that's just not really the appropriate way to apply DE.
Well, we actually see it. We go in and we see people dumping it actually between their mattress and their box spring, and they're sleeping on it. We went in a house the other day on Monroe, and they put DE all over their daughter's frame, and every time the daughter's bouncing, what is happening? What are these people doing to themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're inhaling all that dust that becomes airborne, and inhaling that amount of dust can just be unhealthy from that perspective of breathing it in. So it's definitely, we see it all the time too. I mean, people will even go as far as treating their dogs with it, putting it in their food, and all these other things. And that's not really how it's intended to be used from a pesticide perspective.
I got you. Good. So now, again, I want to go first to the renter. So the renter finds out they have a bed bug problem. They don't want to tell a landlord. They're afraid they're going to get kicked out. They're going to have a problem. They start setting off bug bombs.
Yep.
And they start doing other crazy things. Tell me what the caution or the ludicrousy is of that.
Well, the first thing you want to keep in mind is that when you're renting an apartment, your landlord is the person that owns the apartment. So if you start taking pest control actions without your landlord's approval, you could actually find yourself in a sticky situation. But beyond that, if you're doing things like bug bombs, which are a very common thing people use, which are those total release aerosol cans that you can put in a room and hit the trigger and it basically fills up the room with a fog, those can actually complicate the situation and actually start to spread the bugs into surrounding units, which is something you definitely want to avoid if at all possible. On top of that, you just need to be careful when you're doing stuff like that. Again, you want to leave this up to the experts if at all possible.
Okay, so and then also homeowners. Homeowners, they're calling us up and they're saying, oh my God, is this stuff going to kill my dog? Is this going to kill my baby? Am I going to have 3 legs? And then they're doing insane stuff. So I would like you to talk about what you actually see.
Sure.
I mean, not like we want to give theory why they shouldn't, because some people are. Let's talk about actually the insanity of what you personally see when you're out there that they're doing.
Bedbugs are a very emotional experience where people have these in their bed, and when they try to go to sleep at night, they're coming out of the walls to feed on them, and it can really push people over the edge when it comes to treating for bedbugs. I mean, we've seen things as far as people using petroleum products such as diesel fuel, where they're taking diesel fuel and spraying the baseboards in their home, thinking that that's an appropriate solution to a bedbug problem. And although that will kill them on contact, you may run into a lot of more serious issues when you're applying fuel products all over. They are a very hysterical pest. You see some wild things when it comes to bedbug treatments. I'm sure you've seen in the field as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of insane stuff. But I want to go back to that petroleum fuel thing, because you said you went in this apartment and they had a son, a kid, that was eating, and the dog was there.
Yep.
And what was that like? I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, we knock on this door one day, and the woman comes to answer the door, and she opens the door, and I almost get smacked in the face by this solvent smell. And I'm like, wow, what is that? And I walk in, and I slid across the living room floor. I was like, wow, this cannot be good. And it turned out that she had literally, not just the baseboards, but basically sprayed down the entire apartment with diesel fuel. And it was just all over the floors, all over the couches. The couches were still dripping with it. And sitting on the couch is a 4-year-old child and a dog. And so, you see that, and it's sad because obviously people are taking desperate measures to get rid of these bugs, whether they don't have the money or they just don't think it's a very serious problem. But when you see, children and animals being exposed to something like that, it's a sad situation. It's something you definitely want to avoid.
That's terrible. Now, I just want to wrap it up just real quick. I want to go back and saying, so people do have a problem. They realize they can't do it themselves. We know that it's not going to work. We know that people out there watching this video are still going to try to do it themselves. They're going to have insanity. It's not going to work. And they're going to call somebody in. Sure. When they call somebody in, because we're both experts in this, what are they looking for? Because this is going out to the entire country, possibly the world. Sure. What are they looking for in a company, in a professional company? What are the 3 or 4 main features they should be looking for, whoever's going to treat their bedbug problem?
You definitely want to find a company that has as much experience as possible. Now, depending on where you are is going to really dictate how much experience they have, but you want to find people who have done this before. You also want to make sure that they're taking a multidisciplinary approach, which means that they're not just relying on pesticides. One thing we found by research is that there are a lot of bed bugs out there that are actually resistant to a lot of the pesticides that we use today. And so you want to be using things like bed encasements or climb-up devices or steamers or vacuums. Even vacuums is a good tool for bed bugs. And on top of that, really experience and a multidisciplinary approach are the 2 major things you definitely want to look for in a pest control company.
I got you. Now, one more thing. In buildings, there is this idea that somebody owns a building, they're a landlord, they can go ahead, people complain about bed bugs, and they're going to give their super, that may or may not even come from this country, who can't even read a label, to go ahead and then spray these tenants' apartments. Is that the right or wrong thing to do?
Yeah, you definitely run into that. I'm sure you've had it where, the landlord's like, no, okay, I got this, don't worry about it. And that's definitely, typically not the right approach because, we are experts in this industry. We know and understand bugs. We know how to apply pesticides in a manner that will make them most effective. I don't go in and try to run an apartment building because I don't have any experience in being a landlord. And, when somebody comes from that industry and tries to come into our industry and try to do pest control practices, they don't always know exactly what they're doing or how to apply these things in an effective manner. So that's definitely not typically the right approach, but remember, you only have so much pull in that situation because you're not the guy who owns the apartment. But it's definitely not typically the right approach.
Good, thank you. Now, I want to tell you something. Now, all the interviews I always do with other professionals are off the cuff. We didn't train or prepare before this,
Absolutely
right?
not.
The people that I interview are professionals, and they have the confidence where I can throw things at them, and they will answer, and you see there's no pauses, there's no stuttering. So everything I bring to you is about information so you can succeed in your bed bug challenge, and also you can clear up this matter. So I want to thank you for the time. I appreciate it, Jeff White.
Anytime.
Appreciate you being with us. This is Scott from PestPlus, www.pestplus.net or 732-777-6857. Hey, listen, I hope you don't get bed bugs, but if you do, give me a call. We'll get rid of it for you. Ciao.